Hey guys, welcome back to the Girlfriends and Goals podcast YouTube channel. My name is Samaria and I'm joined by my co-host and best friend Miosha. And we're at the end of the Love is Blind season 5. So today we're covering just the reunion
Hmm.
special because we've already done the finale. So check that out if you haven't yet. And this will be our last video on Love is Blind since it's the
Yes.
close of the season. But we do have other things on our channel. We're starting our Married at First Sight reviews with their new season. So the new season starts Wednesday, and we usually put our review up on Thursday. So
Hmm.
if you watch that show, join us for that. But we also have several podcast episodes that just cover navigating womanhood, whether it's friendship, career, romantic relationship, wellness, and health. All of
Hmm.
that is already on our channel, so check those out. And last but not least, we will be doing more Am I the A-hole reaction videos. So stay tuned
Yep.
for that. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe now. And of course, meet us in the comments and let us know what you guys thought about this reunion. All right.
Yes.
Now that that's out of the way.
Now we can get to the good part. So I want to ask you because
uh,
I haven't watched Love is Blind since the first season. So I feel
oh,
like
okay.
going into the reunion, I didn't have many thoughts around the host. But you did mention earlier that people in the last few seasons weren't pleased. So what did you think about, I guess, how the host did overall?
Better than last year.
Okay.
There was one particular thing that I still was not satisfied with. So I think they did a good job with asking certain questions to some of
Hmm.
the people on the stage. But yeah, there was one particular moment where I felt like I don't know. It could have been better, and we'll get to it. It was
Okay.
surrounding Aaliyah. I'll give that hint. So
Oh, okay. But
yeah.
you were more satisfied than in the past. So that's a
Yeah,
good
I
thing.
still don't think they are the best hosts, but
Okay.
this reunion did go better in my opinion than last. Like I could tell they were trying to ask the like more salacious
Hmm.
questions or whatever when the opportunity presented themselves. So
Yeah, get to the point. Why are we here?
right,
We're
exactly.
reuniting for a reason.
Yeah. So but more on that soon.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So you want to start off with Milton and Lydia because they are
Mhm.
still married. Good for them.
Yes. I mean, I'd say I'm happy for them. They were definitely the surprise of the season, along with another surprise, Chris. But yeah, I'm happy for them. They say that they're still happily married. Milton is excited to go home and they were super cuddly. Their energy felt natural the whole time. I was happy to hear that I guess she's super close with his mom and sister now, which is
Mhm.
good. Yeah, I still don't know that I'm fully convinced that this is a forever thing. But what I did write down is that I think Lydia wants to be married. And
Mhm.
it seems like she's willing to do what it takes to try to make this relationship work. At least
Mhm.
so far, the first year and a half ish.
I feel very indifferent about this couple. Like I just cannot bring myself to care almost,
Mm,
But like I said, when they decided to get married, now that they're married, I hope that they're able to work it out.
mm-hmm,
It's still not a couple that I'm just like, oh yeah, we got a good couple this season. Like it just still feels a little bit
mm,
strange to me, and that's the only word that I can put to it. But I hope
yeah.
that they are genuinely happy. They seem to be. When they kept bringing the camera close in on them when they were making like eyes at each other, I'm like, I could tell the producers maybe really want us to root for them. I just maybe don't have that energy. And
Well,
I
I
don't know if
think
I'm the
it's
only one
hard
feeling
to
that
root
way.
for them once the drama surrounding them, right?
Yeah.
Lydia, all of what she had going on, and the age difference. So I think, yeah, they're a hard couple to root for. It's more of like, oh, we're happy that it's still working out, but we still not
Mhm.
gonna forget
Yeah, I
where
just
y'all
feel
started.
I feel so indifferent about them, especially after this. Like the wedding episode was a little better for me because like I said, as a woman, you want to see another woman get the things that she desires. But I'm back to being just like, okay. I'm okay with never seeing them on my screen, on my social media ever again. And not in a negative way. Like not, I'm definitely not trying to be shady. I'm just like, okay,
We've
this was
seen
good for
enough.
the season. It's over now.
Yeah. I have another reason why I say I'd be okay with not seeing them again, but I'm gonna save that for
Okay,
later. So
cool. I
yeah.
feel like I know where this is going because I know you, but we got a lot to
Let's
talk
see if
about.
you know me. Let's see if you know me as well as you think you know me.
Let's speed through the other people so we
Okay.
can get okay. But no, seriously, okay, Stacy and Izzy, they're not together. I mean,
I mean,
and they shouldn't be,
yeah.
but they said they took a break after the cameras, and she was like, okay, we can start over from scratch, which realistically, that's not even possible. But she felt like they could start over from scratch. And he was like, if we're not continuing where we left off, I'm not going back to the beginning, which also is bizarre to me because y'all have known each other for
Mhm.
3 weeks at this point. So it's like you're not
It's
going back to that far away.
that, and wouldn't you want a bit of a clean slate given the reason why things dissolved? So I understood what she was saying of like, hey, let's give it more time, but we need to comb through the details.
Hmm.
On his part, it seemed as though he was in a rush. He was ready to move up in her house, keep the party going. I mean, and to me, him not wanting to maybe take a few steps back to gain her trust
Hmm.
says a lot. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's almost like he wanted her to speed past what had happened. Like he doesn't realize the gravity of it. Just like he didn't realize how big a credit score would have been. He doesn't realize how big compromising the trust that your partner has in you is. And so he just needs to
yeah.
grow up.
So
Somebody actually,
okay.
I want to read this because we have someone who like comments from time to time.
Hmm.
I believe her name is Eva. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But she was
Okay.
like, guys like Izzy should come with a warning sign. And when I tell you that is 1,000% accurate, especially after this reunion. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure I said that.
So one thing I wanted to call out was Stacy said he said that he talked about his finances with other women in the pod. She said he said that they never talked about it. She said, no, we did. I asked you about savings, about debts and things like that. He was like, no, but you never asked me about credit score. So I still feel like there's this sense of confusion around, did y'all talk about finances? Did y'all not? And then one thing that I wish either the host would have followed up on or they would
Mhm.
have shown clips from him with the other women was, how did those conversations about money come up? Did the women bring it up?
Yeah.
Did he bring it up? What was said? I just wish they would have shown maybe the conversation he had with Johnny or some of the other women around money.
Mhm.
I do think that like he said, having a bad credit score is not something you want to walk around bragging about. So I think he already felt maybe uneasy about that. And then maybe hearing her background, meeting her family, I think he may have been a little bit too comfortable holding on to that information for too long.
You
So
know, I don't think Stacey's a liar. So if she feels like they talked about finances, then maybe they did. However, because she was giving off this, oh, let's not be serious in the pods, like, oh, I just want to have fun, like I just want to enjoy
mhm.
myself. A part of me is like,
Did
y'all probably
you?
didn't address, right, y'all probably didn't address that. So this is one of those situations where I think if we're gonna get the truth, it leans more towards Stacy to give us the truth. But I
Mm,
can absolutely see how in the pod she was holding
carefree.
her cards close to her
Mhm.
chest. You know, she was very strategic, we'll call it. So I don't know that I fully believe there was a good detailed conversation around finances with her.
Yeah. I could agree with that. And I could see him saying, well, she didn't specifically ask about
For sure.
credit score. So
Oh,
I'm
well,
not
I
going to.
mean, we she had asked about the dollars that I had, but she wasn't asking about the cents. So I just gave her a round number. It's like, sir, you know, if you have bad credit, if you are an honest person who wants to be transparent in a relationship, as soon as any type of financial conversation comes up,
Hmm.
you're going to lay it all out on the table. Let's be for real.
Yeah, of course.
He's such
Yeah.
a nut.
Anyways, what do you have anything else on them? They
Not
ran into each
really.
other at a
Except for when
cooking
Johnny
class.
and Chris come out.
Yeah, let's get to that part.
Not all the Houston men be a raggedy.
What did you say earlier in the season? You said you were worried about Stacy being the villain.
Johnny.
No, you said I think Stacy. You were like, "Oh, Stacy, I hope you're not going to be the villain." It wasn't Johnny. I think it was Stacy because it was after Johnny left. Because you
Oh,
were talking
okay.
about her being a mean girl or something. But she was like, "I hope you say I hope you're not going to be the villain of this
Oh
season."
yeah, because I liked her initially. Like I
Yeah.
was cool with
And,
her.
and then look, we got a villain undercover.
I cannot believe so none of these men were good. Like you were our only hope. Like I guess
Chris.
Milton, but because he's 24, he's just Milton. But Chris, not you of all
Yes, you.
people.
If me, then who?
I was I was shocked by this, but it was almost funny.
But the way the story happens, so what he goes to a wedding and
Yeah.
then he ghosts her.
It is the way Johnny told the story. Yeah, so he goes to his wedding. It was my birthday weekend, which she said because it's my birthday. Why you not taking me to the wedding?
Mhm.
Or I could stay at the hotel, but we're spending the weekend or something. But it's her birthday weekend. He goes, and then she's like, the next week I didn't see him, and then the next week I didn't see him. Like,
Chris, low down. And then
and
the way he just was so just like chill about it, like, yeah, the way he
I
agreed
did
with
that.
her. Yeah, I
Yeah, she's
did.
right.
Yeah, you right.
I did go to the wedding and not come back. Like,
Then he said he loved her, but then Vanessa, is that her name? The host?
Vanessa.
I was like, oh, so do you cheat on those that you love? And what did he say, Samaria?
Apparently, yes.
When I
What?
tell you I hollered.
Excuse me? This man said, well, if I did it, then yeah, it must be.
That was
That
the most
tickled me. It shouldn't have, but it was just so hilarious. Um,
oh man.
I I when they were talking about like the whole party thing, she said, I
Mhm.
appreciated you having my back on that, which I can understand
In
because
that moment, yeah. He
she
did
was out
what,
there on her own.
yeah, makes sense. And they were together at that time. But I don't know, Chris, something's not adding up. Is something happened? Were you already talking to this woman?
Because here's the thing, he presented it as, I didn't want to hurt, like he has a flaw of not being able to be straightforward when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to hurting somebody. So I could see that being his flaw because he's the nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
However, he was pretty straightforward with Johnny in the pods, and I just can't imagine that if you were able to have that hard conversation, you can't have another one. But it,
Do you think this was some type of get back?
because of how he presents himself, I want to say no.
Mm. Like
But
he really was swept off his feet.
I wouldn't say swept off his feet though. I could see him going with Johnny because she was the option that was available and he just wanted to explore it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that he was so in love with her that if a better option came by, especially after
Mm.
the barbecue and especially with her troubled past, like he would just not take that other option, you know?
Yeah, and it could be okay once the cameras are away, we settle into real life. He realized that it just wasn't for him or there was another option. I don't know,
Mm,
Chris.
something's a little fishy here, Chris.
He
And
was
I
so
believe
chill about it too.
the nerve, the nerve. Even the nice guy had audacity. That's insane.
Mm.
Um, I literally put down, throw the whole season away because if Chris can't get it right, but honestly, who expected Chris and Johnny to last a long time?
And did you see the way Izzy and Stacey were snickering? Just like two buddies. I don't know why.
I think I hate to say this. Stacey is another person who I would be happy not to see on my screen or social media ever again. She just is. I think she was right with a lot of the things that she did. I think she handled herself well in a lot of moments, but
Hmm.
I think I've had enough of her as well. Like this season is ending when it's supposed to end because
Hmm.
I think she just has way too much dip on her chip for Johnny that I don't know is warranted at this point, a year and a half later.
Yeah, I agree. I think if I was to guess, it's something about Johnny not probably fully owning what she was saying. I don't think it's because obviously Stacey's over Izzy, but I think it's just something, even the way she rehashed what happened and how Johnny was talking about her, the other girls told her. And Johnny was like, yeah, I was being petty. Even the way she was just being rude and talking to Chris while Stacey is talking.
Honestly,
These
because
two are like
Stacey,
oil and water.
yeah, and Stacey's energy in that moment was just so
What
awful.
I would have wished was that the host would have refocused them on the fact that Izzy was way too invested in what Johnny and Chris had going on. Like, I just wish they would have focused on that part a little bit more.
Hmm.
Like, I don't, okay, she was talking about her, whatever, but I wanted to talk about, I wanted Stacey to bring up that Izzy was way too invested.
Honestly, okay, so I know that you're saying that Johnny was rude talking to Chris. Yeah, absolutely, right? I agree with that. I
That
almost
Johnny
didn't
was
mind
rude
it.
talking to Chris.
Yeah, while Stacey was rehashing
Oh,
everything.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I honestly feel like that was Johnny's way of presenting as unbothered. Like,
Oh,
girl,
yeah.
we're not gonna get along no matter what you say or how you say it. You already think less of me. You already like talk down on me. Like,
Hmm.
you don't get my tears anymore. You don't get my attention anymore. So as rude as it was, a little part of me was just like, good, because they went way too hard at that barbecue. And
Yeah, she did call her a piece of shit or you're full of shit or something a few times to her
something
face.
like
So
that.
you've already
Yeah.
had the opportunity to air out your grievances. So why come with that kind of energy now?
So I
Is
kind
what
of
you're
agree with
saying.
Johnny's approach, like, oh, she's talking whatever. Rude, yes,
Hmm.
but I mean, Stacey's been rude to her as well, so I don't really. And okay, she did sort of own up to what she said.
Hmm.
Nothing Stacey said was new to us. Like we heard
Hmm.
Johnny say all those things, so it's like, yeah, it was petty, and she admitted that it was when Izzy broke things off with me. So I think for for people who clearly hate each other,
Hmm.
that's as much owning up as I would expect. And Stacey hasn't owned up to, I shouldn't have talked to her that way. So
Yeah.
grabs
And
her.
I just wish that Stacey would have come a bit unbothered by Johnny,
Oh yeah.
given all of what we saw of Izzy, the fact that we find out that Izzy circled back. So I just wanted her to be unbothered and be like, yeah, it happened, but I'm good. And just leave it at that because you're just doing too much. And with Izzy in the mix, and he's the root reason, it doesn't make sense because he
Yeah.
was way too invested. So
Yeah.
for her sake, I wanted her to be more unbothered by Johnny.
I would have been happier. Like just be unbothered by each other, you know?
Yeah.
How about that, ladies? But as soon as Johnny came, like you could tell, I don't know, the tension, and apparently Nick and Vanessa felt it too, child. It was thick.
Mm, mm, mm. But yeah, they said Izzy did apologize to Johnny. They
That
did.
apology though.
Hmm?
That apology.
You want to talk about it?
he
clearly.
wasn't apologetic for what he said, but how he said it, which is
Oh yeah.
about. It's like, okay, you're not sorry. Like,
I don't think the conversation should have happened in the first place because to me, what you were chastising her about was pointless.
he just wanted to one up her. But the fact that they did go back to each other shows, even though later on when they asked the question, oh, who is the type that you would typically go for? He says Stacy. I'm like, I'm not buying that. There's no way.
It was
There's
always Johnny.
Yeah, I definitely think it would have been.
And it was what, 2 weeks or very soon after him and Stacey have, decided to not
Absolutely.
be involved. And like Stacey said, given all of what Izzy had said about Johnny, oh no, given Izzy had said about Johnny, yeah, that was right. The fact that he would circle the block.
But also, why were they kissing, Stacey and Izzy, later on?
It's a whole lot of kissing from a whole
With
lot of
Izzy,
people.
of all people. What has gone wrong in the female?
It's something about his energy swag that pulls the women in. They know better. And this is why he didn't think his credit was a big deal. This is why.
Oh man. Okay.
And plus, I was also thinking too, is the way Stacey was talking at the honeymoon and after about what he had to give, he probably thought it was enough to have her out of her mind.
Mm-hmm.
So okay.
They did ask him though, like, oh, the whole finance thing, and he repeated the same thing about it not being a big deal and whatever. Okay. So do you want to go to the whole Lydia Aaliyah thing next?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. This is where I wasn't a fan of the host.
Okay.
How do you feel? Okay, before we get to like the details, how did you feel overall about this conversation?
It felt one when Aaliyah walked in giving body.
Okay.
She looks really good.
Face and hair.
Face, yeah.
Yeah.
But the way she walked in more so, and I saw Lydia's face and energy, it felt like Lydia was ready. Like, I don't know if she thought Aaliyah was going to show up and be combative or what, but she just, I don't know if she was nervous. I'm not sure, but the energy was so awkward in that moment. Yeah. Okay. I'll leave it at that for now.
I absolutely hated this whole conversation because I feel like.
Oh, and it made it more awkward that Uche wasn't there. So that was another thing where it was like you have two players. Lydia's in the hot seat, kind of.
Right. Was she in the hot seat?
Well, more so she's on the receiving end of a lot of questions that another party had a big hand in. So I don't think Aaliyah was mean or rude or anything.
No.
But
she's not like that.
Yeah, I do think that it was odd because Uche wasn't there. So not that I wanted to see him.
Right. But to Lydia and being on the receiving end of all these questions, they never asked why she decided to get that close to Aaliyah when she knew what the history was. And so I felt like Aaliyah, not to say like she didn't get her day in court, but it felt like the way the conversation went was very let's look out for Lydia. And I expect this from Milton because that's her husband, right? I think he played his role perfectly. He did what he needed to do. But at one point, Vanessa was like, oh, well, Lydia, I can imagine that you just felt like, oh, all the pressure, was released. And so you were just feeling like, why are you putting words in her mouth about this situation? Let her express how she
was
felt.
Tense. You could see it. Yeah.
I don't care. You know who else was tense? So tense that they left and went home. I just felt like I felt like she wasn't fully held accountable. And I think the only person who asked her questions to hold her accountable was Aaliyah when
Oh
she
yeah.
I would like you to speak to the fact that you guys had a conversation and knew that the show was coming to Houston, discussed the show coming to Houston, and then both ended up here.
One thing I want to say is so it seemed like, and you tell me if I'm wrong, that Aaliyah and Lydia were very close from like early on. So
Mhm.
before, so say Lydia goes on her first date and it's with Uche, right?
Mhm.
They tell them, don't tell anybody that you know each other are here. They go back in, and then after some time, I assume Aaliyah and Uche start talking and they get close or whatever. So you're saying, why didn't Lydia remove herself from being as close with Aaliyah at that point, right?
At some point, like
Okay.
at some
I get
point
what you're saying.
before this whole thing, because okay, so they don't live in the lounges from what I saw on Jesse Wu's interview with
Hmm.
Miriam.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I, it
It's not
just
making sense to you how and why she got so close to Aaliyah, um, given the setup. And it is odd that she would just so happen to get so close with the girl that,
they were best friends in the pop.
yeah. And I also wonder too if they told them, "Hey, don't reveal anything yet." That also brings into question, well, why did you listen to production? I'll just go ahead and say, I think Lydia and Uche were plants. I do. I do. I,
Sorry, I just didn't know where that was going, so it tickled me a little bit.
yeah, I think that
Hmm.
because going to the part of the conversation where she says, "Hey, like give more information around these conversations that were had." Lydia says that both her and Uche saw the casting call and maybe had a conversation about it. It was very vague, very weird. And then she said she felt in her instinct that she would run into someone from her past. One, if you're in a relationship on and off again or not with someone, why would the Love is Blind casting call even be a
Something that
topic of conversation? It's giving show plants and all these other coincidences that you're just so happen to be each other's first date. Then production tells you no, don't say anything. Then all of a sudden you can say something. It sounds like I was going to say this is a scheme that Todd came up with.
it was a scheme that
This is a
Todd
scheme.
set up.
But no, it's just way too many coincidences that I really feel like production put this together. And when she said that they both saw the casting call and was like, "Oh, that's cool," or who does that? Who says that? Nobody, other than this is the reasoning production gave you to.
I think if they weren't plants, let me just back away from
Oh
your
yeah, I'm the
conspiracy.
only one who has this theory. So in the
Yes,
comments, it's only me, y'all.
I'm gonna back away from your conspiracy theory just a little. But if this were real, I can imagine Aaliyah thinking, Lydia, you knew he was gonna be here. You came on here maybe thinking something would happen, and
Mhm.
you got lucky and found a person. And so now whatever would have been exposed might not be for some time because she's in this marriage with Milton. So I think Lydia has gotten very lucky that
Yeah,
everything
it's falling
will
over.
not come to the
Yeah.
light because the only other person we have to believe is Uche, and half the time he be lying.
A-
So
And that wouldn't explain his fake surprise reaction and not knowing her voice and all of that weirdness. It's just not adding up.
at all.
Mm-mm. And he's not there to answer for a lot of this. And I agree. The part where she's like, "Oh, well, I just didn't read the room. We don't have a game plan for these types of situations." But I would
You're
hope that
way too smart. She's
yeah, you
way too
have the
smart.
emotional intelligence to understand that you don't conduct yourself in that way and be all cuddled up. And I will say too, even for Aaliyah, why are y'all cuddled up under a blanket together and you just find out that y'all have messed with the same guy or interested in the same guy? So there is some accountability on Aaliyah's part, even in wanting to follow up and maybe date him outside of the pods. And like she said, he was giving her barbecue Uche energy. Just
at this point, they need to remove barbecue Uche and just accept that that's Uche. Like that's just him.
no, I agree.
But yeah, so it felt to me like during that conversation, one, Lydia was given words by Vanessa, but also, you know, you have Milton saying, "Oh, well, I want to speak for the integrity of my wife. She's such a great person and she makes me a better person each day." Two things can be true.
Yeah, that's how she is for you, but you don't know. Well, you just got
What
a glimpse of what she did in the pods
you
or in the
don't know
lounge.
who she was before you, and who she was before you is what is impacting Aaliyah, or what impacted Aaliyah. And
And
so
it also kind of made it seem like he was trying to relate, like, oh, I'm on the opposite side of this, Aaliyah, so I get it
I
too.
felt the same. I felt the same way. First of all, Uche is way more like strategic. Also, it doesn't seem like Milton and Uche had the relationship that Aaliyah and Lydia had.
Oh,
So
Uche was trying, but Milton didn't
I
follow
think
it.
he was
Yeah.
trying, but you saw the way that he did his, right, at the barbecue with
Mhm.
Milton. As opposed to how Lydia was just like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna tell you everything," and da 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 da. Like, and I don't know. I just didn't like Milton trying to make it seem like, "Oh, I was in the same situation." And I've seen people comment and say stuff like, "Yeah, if Aaliyah wanted it badly enough, she would have stayed." No, she wouldn't, and she shouldn't want it badly enough. That was not a situation to want.
Not when you're dealing with two show plants. Mm-mm.
You know, just shut.
For what? So she can be embarrassed?
Oh my gosh, you and this show plant business. But yeah,
Oh.
I appreciated Milton taking up for his wife.
He did what a good man is supposed to do.
What a good man's supposed to do. Absolutely. I think that just it almost made it seem like, oh, Aaliyah, you know, sorry, it sucked for you, but you know, you just kind of
Mhm.
have to get over it. And it's like, I didn't like that.
The other piece too, and obviously Uche wasn't there to defend himself, but I think it's also his behavior was also a reason why they didn't work out too. So
Yeah.
it's convoluted. It's this whole love triangle plus him just not being the right fit for her, not being his type and all this stuff and all the mental games he was playing. We find out that he's texting them just
Everybody,
so strange.
very weird behavior.
Like, oh, I'm here to talk if you want. For what?
Why would you be the one I would want to talk to? Let's be for real. I think if you are a woman dating in Houston, that's the sad thing. Uche's probably still gonna find him a woman. Like,
Easily.
he's probably still gonna find him a woman who's gonna put up with that nonsense.
Easily.
Which is women in
Easily.
Houston, let this be your PSA. Stay away from that man. Please stay away from him.
Mhm.
But yeah, I didn't like how it seemed like, oh, well, poor Aaliyah, you know, you just kind of have to get over it and whatever. I like that she was able to tell her story. I think it's very cute how she and her bae met on an R&B
Mhm.
cruise, you know, each of them showing up for themselves. So I really hope that that works out for her. And I like that she came back because I felt like they were making it seem like she was being bitter by trying to hold Lydia accountable.
Mhm.
It the energy just gave, oh well, she's not over it. And so I appreciate her being like, I'm fine, I'm happy. I still need some accountability around the fact that you probably knew he was going to be here and you showed up expecting that. That's why it wasn't your instinct, it wasn't intuition. You know that
Mhm.
you had had a conversation with this man where both of you guys were interested in trying out for this show, period.
Yep. I agree.
All right. um Oh, I just want to say something quickly because
Mm.
someone in our comments was like, well, why can't Uche look out for his friend Milton? In Milton's words, we were never friends, we were never peers. and he said he was obsessed with my relationship with Lydia.
That
So
he was.
that's why Uche can't give Milton advice because that's not his man's.
Mm-mm. Yeah, Uche's behavior is very strange.
I thought it was funny that
Mm.
Izzy, of all people, was like, "Oh yeah, I'm not a fan of Uche." Y'all are twins. Y'all are almost the same person, except
Yeah,
Uche is rich enough to have a certain level of like a certain level of arrogance that maybe Izzy doesn't have. But I feel like they're very similar, or they've presented very similarly on this show. I'll say that.
yeah, I'd agree with that. All right.
Okay. I think we just have JP and Taylor, same old, same old.
Taylor looked great.
I loved. Okay, can we talk fashion?
Yeah.
Who was the best dressed to you? Who was the worst dressed to you?
Mm, okay, so best dress, as far as whose dress I love the most is probably Taylor's.
Same.
The color, her whole look, that the bun, I
The
love a good
style,
bun,
the
the style,
everything.
everything. Even her energy was, I'm here and
Tens across the board. Yep.
loved it. Worst, for me would have to be Stacy, only because I like the outfit, but I think body type matters. So
I
um
I think she has the perfect body for that dress. It's just there wasn't much dress. Like, where was the dress?
I think the top, I think if she was a bit bustier, the top, it just felt, I don't know. I don't know. It just her body type, I think, would look better and more sweetheart.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's just something about the outfit. I didn't mind the lack of clothes because obviously her body's very fit. She looks good.
That's why
I
I
just
think
feel
she
like
has the
with
body.
those types of outfits, you kind of have to like fill it out in certain areas, or it just looks like ribbon or whatever just tied around you.
That's exactly. I felt like she had the body for it, right? Because she sculpted, body looked amazing. I just didn't get the style of the dress. It really did give ribbon
Mm.
wrapped around. It's just like I don't
I've
fashion
seen
choice.
Meg the Stallion in something similar to that,
Hmm.
and I think the curves filling it out a bit. Like even like since Meg has like leaned out, she just has the curves, a little bit
Hmm.
there, so it fills it
Oh,
out. It just looks completely different. I'll say that.
interesting.
So yeah,
Okay.
but yeah,
Uh
for the guys, I don't ever
oh,
remember the guys'
I don't
looks.
even remember their outfits. I was still on the girls.
Um,
So for me, the next best would I actually really liked Johnny's dress.
it gave me like a 2007 like prom
Yeah,
homecoming, but in a cute way though,
in an
not
adult way.
yeah,
Yeah.
adult way. Yeah.
Um, I didn't care too much for Lydia's look.
Oh,
Um,
she had the deep V. Oh, I
yeah,
didn't mind it. It was cute.
yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, if we're going from best to worst,
Mhm.
it would be Taylor, Johnny, Aaliyah, Lydia, then Stacy.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay.
there wasn't Lydia's look wasn't bad. I just didn't
It
like
was
how
very simple. Like
I don't
was
even
it
mind the
black? Was the dress
simplicity of
black?
it. Yeah, I don't even
Oh,
mind the
okay.
simplicity of it. I just
Yeah.
maybe if her hair would have been, I don't know. It was just something about it. But
Mm.
I'm glad she and Milton are still together and wishing them all
Yeah.
the best. All right. So
Yeah.
that's all that I have. And we'll be back on Thursday after watching Married at First Sight. If you watch Married at First Sight, join us for our commentary on that. And
Oh,
we'll see you guys next time.
bye.
Bye.